Welcome to Spiritual Tea with Kumea. Hello everyone, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. If this is your first time, welcome, okay? If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for your support, okay? If this resonates with you, please make sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe. So today we are going to discuss quite a few topics. It's one topic, but we're going to hit multiple angles of this one specific topic. And this topic is about male DNA living within a woman's body, bone marrow, brain, traveling through a woman's body and taking up resonance wherever it deems that it wants to chill. Okay, we're going to look at scientific research about this. Okay, we're also going to hit the story times and opinions of a few TikTokers at the end, because I want to hit the scientific data for educational purposes at the beginning, and then we'll give reviews about that in between, because I'm going to stop and pause and get my little that's just how I do. Most of the scientific views and data will be shared via screenshots that I can just add in there, and then we'll do a few story times at the end. But yeah, so without further ado, we're going to get straight into this, okay? So a lot of people have wondered, like, how is it even possible? Excuse me, y'all. You know, Nancy be cutting up and cutting down. How is it even possible for a man's Y chromosome DNA from his semen to even stay and linger within a woman? Well, let me explain that to you. Okay, so there's a process. I'm going to explain it in how I needed to explain terms, okay? So it's easy to understand. One, okay, there's two ways, but this first way, it's two ways that this one process can happen. It's microchimerism, okay? And so what this means, what it is defined as, is a presence of small amounts of genetical distinct cells in an individual, okay, from their male counterpart, okay? So during pregnancy, okay, there is a bidirectional exchange of cells between a pregnant woman and her fetus, okay, through the placenta. And it's through this placenta is where the male DNA is able to be transferred to the woman. Okay, so this male DNA can be found in the blood of a woman for up to 27 years. Now, specifically for this 27 years, from my research and what I'm seeing, it's specifically usually when a woman gives birth or delivers a son, a male offspring. However, I do have other research that shows men's DNA can also travel in the blood of a woman if she has a daughter, but it's usually under certain procedures, such as, quote unquote, maybe like a C-section or something like that, okay? But during the pregnancy, also it can be done when there is an abortion, because a lot of people don't realize that during the process of the abortion, a lot of the fetal cells, up to 500, what was it saying? 5 million or 500,000 nucleated fetal cells can transfer to the woman through her blood, her circulation, okay? All right, so it's usually when there's male offspring, but it can also happen for if you have a daughter as well, okay? So let's just show a few screenshots that show you this. So one of the screenshots that I'm going to show you is coming from choicedna.com, who, might I add, does DNA testing for you to see if you are carrying your baby DNA in your body, okay? So Choice DNA. And then the other one is actually from a governmental website. It's coming from the National Library of Science. And I'll just put the link, okay? And I'll screenshot. Okay, so because of copyright, I can't actually put that specific screenshot in there. However, I'm going to put the Google search that I did so that you'll be able to find it, and I'll show you which link to click so that you can get this information, okay? All right, so Choice DNA, I am going to post this because I'm going to show this one, because this is where you go to get the DNA testing to see if your baby daddy's DNA is still lingering in your body. But so in the case, because like I said, as I stated, or if I didn't, I'm going to state it now. The male DNA can linger in a woman's body, and that happens with 63% of women. So it doesn't happen for everybody, okay? And it doesn't happen with every pregnancy. It's only 63% of the time women, according to the studies have been done. It's only shown up in 63% of women, okay? The rest of the women who do not retain their baby daddy's offspring or energy, don't retain their DNA, sorry. It usually flushes out of the body and out of the system within 5 days. It only lingers for about 5 days, okay? Okay. All right. So there was a misconception that just everyone that you have unprotected intercourse with, it can linger in your body for 7 years. No. There's usually a person that you've had a baby with, okay, and it can linger longer than 27 years. It can, 7 years. It can linger for up to 27 years if your body retains it. And like I said, that only happens in 63% of women. Okay, so and it's a good thing that there's a way for this to be tested for. Okay, so like I said, the other way that this can happen is when there's some sort of transplant, or it's passed when there's some sort of procedure while the woman is pregnant, which releases the DNA within the body during the procedure, the medical procedure, okay? And it can linger within the body. This is from a 2015 study, which I will also go ahead and link that here. Okay, all right, so upon further review of the documentation, it's also been shown, and there's more research that's being done, but some women who end up experiencing autoimmune diseases after giving birth or having their children, because you know how pregnancy can take a toll on a woman's body, and we never know how it's going to take a toll. But what they're finding is there is a link between this chimerism and autoimmune diseases within women, okay? And it usually occurs in the women who has retained the DNA of their baby daddy, okay? So this is a new study. It's still continuing, but they are finding out, it says that male DNA was found in 1 to 27 years after childbirth in 6 of 8 women with an autoimmune disease who had sons. So what I'm finding out is that this transfer of the DNA is more likely to occur with a woman who's had male offspring, but it can still happen with women who's had daughters, but it's just more prevalent. So in 6 out of 8 women with autoimmune diseases after pregnancy who bore male children also had their baby daddy's DNA found within their blood, okay? These male, and it looks like it says, the women who end up having the autoimmune diseases are the ones who have more concentrated amounts of their baby daddy's DNA in them, and it's causing these autoimmune diseases. And it's saying that it shows up primarily as skin lesions, okay? But it's an autoimmune disease, okay? All right, hold on just a second. All right, so more. So another autoimmune disease is called Hashimoto's thyroidism. And it's an autoimmune disease. And it says that it's the primary cause for hypothyroidism. And it primarily occurs in women between the ages of 45 and 65. And the symptoms include weight gain, depression, fatigue, mania, memory loss, panic attacks, hair loss, okay? What they found is the women with this particular thyroid issue, they also had the DNA of their baby daddy within them. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it shows that, let me see, 22% of the women, hold on, just let me get the exact percentage. Hold on. Yeah, okay, so it says that 8 of 21 women with this type of hypothyroidism had their baby daddy's DNA still traveling within their blood. Okay. And 17 of those 18 women, none of them had healthy thyroid glands. So it seems that if you're one of the people who are susceptible to taking on your baby daddy's DNA after you bore their children, it can affect the thyroid. Okay. If you're one of those types of women, okay, it's a possibility. And it's 8 of 21 women who actually have the mycochimerism. If you have that and you develop this hypothyroidism, it's a possibility it came from the DNA transfer. Okay. All right. And then so there are other autoimmune diseases where male chromosomes were found within women that occur, and it's called progressive systemic sclerosis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, systemic lupus, erythematosus, and Séjourne syndrome. I'll screenshot it and put it in them. I butchered it, okay? But these are mainly, it's more likely for people who have male DNA within their body to have this show up as an autoimmune from them. And this is even occurring, this were detected decades after pregnancy. So even decades after pregnancy, and women are in their 40s and 60s, between 45 and 65, and they're dealing with these autoimmune diseases, they still are showing the Y chromosomes from their baby daddy that they slept with, that's in their blood, that's still in their blood. Okay, so sex is never just sex. That's the moral of the story. You get what I'm saying? It's always deeper. And in the Bible, when it said the two flesh become one, this right here is primarily what it's pointing out. Okay. All right, so let's get some more info. Okay, all right, and all of this is allegedly, because I just read at the bottom, there's a disclosure at the bottom. These studies are still in progress, okay? So they, it says the findings and conclusions in these articles have not been formally approved by the Food and Drug Administration and should not be represented as a determination. However, these are active studies that have been going on since 2015. Let me make sure. 2011, sorry. So they have been actively studying that, and this is what they've come up with so far, okay? That not only do you possibly just share the DNA of your baby daddy, but you can also occur illnesses from the exchange of DNA with your baby daddy, okay? Now let's look at the spiritual aspects from it, okay? So we're gonna look at now a few story times here just to see, what other people's experiences. And at the end, I'll put my story time, because I had an experience of sleeping with someone whose intentions were not pure, and not only that, but ended up being a warlock and harvested my energy and made me go through a spout of really, really horrible bad luck until I was able to cut that soul tie, that energy cord, cleanse my energy. And actually, this was what the determining factor of what led to my celibacy journey, and we're going on 8 years now. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into a few story times and see.
I'm going to tell y'all what happens spiritually when you have sex with somebody. First of all, when you have sex with somebody, electromagnetically, scientifically, spiritually, all of that, you become one. Y'all are connected. It scientifically says that when somebody is in you, literally, you can find that person's cells within your body. Crazy, right? And if you've been reading your Bible, the Bible says this. It says that when you marry or have sex with somebody, y'all become one flesh. I don't know if you knew that, but we got to open up that word, baby. Meaning that the reason why you can find somebody else's cells within you after you have sex with somebody is because y'all are becoming one flesh. Y'all are connecting on an intimate, very deep spiritual level. Not to mention, imagine you've been in multiple relationships, you have multiple bodies, and your other partner has multiple bodies, been in multiple relationships, and you have unresolved, unfinished trauma within yourself, and you never laid it at the throne before God. You are giving that person demons, and that person is giving you demons, and y'all have no idea. It's called a demonic orgy. It's the weirdest thing ever. Yes, I know that sounds crazy.
You ever wonder why hospitals push certain injections, transfusions, or organ donations so aggressively? It's not just about saving lives. There's a hidden agenda tied to something called microchimerism. It is when DNA from one person literally lives inside of another person's body permanently. And guess what? It can change how you think, how you feel, and who you are. They've known this since the 1970s. The military studied it. DARPA studied it. Even the NIH has hidden papers about using microchimerism and as a tool for long-term biological control. You ever wonder why mothers carry the DNA of their children in their brains? Or why some people say they don't feel like themselves after a procedure? This is not sci-fi. It is real, it is documented, and it is being used. They figured out how to hijack your vessel without ever needing to control your mind directly. And the scary part about that is you gave consent. If you've never heard of this before, that wasn't by accident.
We need to have a serious big sister talk about why hookup culture is actually a biological scam. And now, I'm not just being religious. Your DNA literally has receipts. Ever wonder why you can't just get over someone? It's because trauma and deep emotional bonds aren't just thoughts. They are stored in your nervous system and your fascia. Society says sex is just a physical act like going to the gym, but your brain sees it as a total system integration. You're releasing oxytocin, which is literally the glue of human connection. And girl, it gets wilder. There's this thing called fetal microchimerism. If a pregnancy happens, that man's DNA can stay in your blood and even your brain for decades. You literally become one flesh on a cellular level. This is why God tells us to wait for marriage. He isn't trying to steal your fun. Okay? He's trying to protect your peace. He knows that tearing those bonds apart over and over again causes real physical damage to your soul. The Bible says sexual sin is against the body. Science is finally proving that. Every casual encounter leaves a footprint on your nervous system that you weren't designed to carry alone. But listen, if you've already been there, there is grace. Your brain has neuroplasticity. God can literally rewire you.
All right, there we go. So, like I stated, I just wanted to give multiple aspects of, or multiple views from a scientific standpoint, spiritual standpoint, so that we can come to a well-rounded consensus when it comes to deciding, what you want to do and being cautious of what you're doing when you're doing it. Sex is never just sex. It's never just like, oh, I'm going to. No, it's not. It has spiritual implications as well as physical, and it can also affect you in the long run with your health, because we've seen what health issues it can cause, okay? So I just wanted to give my story time, though, about how and what led to me starting my journey on the celibacy path is when I slept with someone who I didn't know. I didn't know they were a warlock, of course. But what happened was immediately after engaging in the act, I felt like something was taken from me, and I felt a deep sense of loss, and I couldn't explain it. All I know is I felt like it interfered with my stability, my balance. Prior to sleeping with this person, I had been celibate for 2 years, and I was extremely balanced. I was happy, thankful and grateful. I was just very peaceful. But after that, it completely destabilized me to the point where I couldn't even sleep. Every time I would doze off, I'd be jerked awake. I would have heart palpitations really bad. I felt like I was under a deep spiritual attack. I was extremely depressed. I felt like something was taken. I felt a void, like something was taken from me. And I had to do a lot of fasting and praying just to get back to my normal self. Not only that, but in my waking life, regular life, things just started going haywire. It started going wrong. I was laid off from my job, and then I could not find another one for a long time. So I ended up losing my home, which I had a 2-story home at the time, which was very beautiful, but I literally could not find a job. I could not find a job. I ended up having to do Uber, but that was like a last resort because I just partly was not aware of it. I was more ignorant to that type of thing until I had to catch an Uber to go somewhere while my car was being worked on or something like that. And I was talking to the person, and they told me like, yeah, I paid my bills with this. And that's when I was like, oh. But this was after I had already lost my home. I was able to maintain my apartment and everything off of Uber, thank God. And Uber offered a lot of flexibility for me. And at the time, it was during COVID. So Uber was like my lifeline. Because at the time, that was the only thing I could do without having to be subjected to taking you get what I'm saying? Because at the time, they weren't taking any exemptions except medical. And even though I do have a medical exemption, my doctor wouldn't give it to me. So that's what I did. And I was able to pay my bills. But moral of the story, because I can get off on a tangent, honey. Moral of the story is be very cautious. After that, honey, when I tell you, it got me straight. You know what I'm saying? And I took myself on a journey of healing, cleansing, purifying my womb, learning to honor my womb, actually working with cleansing, purifying, and doing energy cord cuttings and working on purifying, cleansing my womb. I worked a lot with rose quartz, selenite, and black tourmaline, and I would just put them on my womb. A lot of talking to my womb, just healing the womb. Okay, cleansing, what us spiritual girlies do. We get off on a tangent doing a lot of, rose baths and stuff like that, just to heal my divine feminine. And like I said, and it led on this journey to where now I'm honestly, that person I was with, it literally scared me. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just like, ugh. Every person is like, what's your motive and what are your intentions and are they pure? And they're always impure. So this is what led to 7 years of celibacy for me. But I feel better. I've been able to tap into different things and aspects of myself. So you should consider it as well. But now you have well-rounded consensus and a real one-to-one in-person story time of what can happen if you unintentionally sleep with someone who is a witch or a warlock, or someone who has a lot of unresolved karmic debts, because we also heard the young man speak about the karmic debts. It can affect on multiple levels. Okay, all right, so yeah, if this video resonated with you, please make sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Do you guys want to say hi to Nancy before we leave? Hit the like. Oh, she don't want to. Hit the like, share, subscribe. Like I said, if you're new here, welcome. Go ahead, subscribe. Become part of the fam. If not, that's fine too. Thank you for tuning in. And then all of my recurring viewers, thank you so much for viewing and tapping in. And please make sure to share this, okay? All right, I hope everyone has a wonderful day.